5 to 7 years. Money Pit.
Holy crap. Is that yours too?
Sean with the City of Coaches podcast. I got a special guest here. He's going to be one of my good friends here. So we're going to make this conversation very light and very dope. Coach George, Courtney, how you doing,
Hey,
man?
good, man. Good to see you, man.
Man,
I
you were
appreciate
the
you
plug.
coming out to visit us, man, out here in Casa Grande, you know?
You are the plug, man. Like, literally, with our coach, I started this situation as a passion project. And Coach like, no, Coach, you can go ahead, man. We get this going. So appreciate
Awesome.
Coach.
Appreciate being, being a guest.
Like you said, we're out in Casa Grande. I keep saying Grande, but it's Casa Grande, which is in the middle. I say, well, you said it's middle of Arizona? What do you consider?
Yeah, this is central Arizona. We're literally 45 minutes to an hour south of Phoenix and 45 minutes to an hour north of Tucson. So
Oh, yeah. So
kind
it's
of
like-
middle between two major cities.
That is two major cities. And Coach, I really, like I said, thanks for coming on the show again, man. I looked at some of your situation. Coach has been coaching for a long time. You started out in Hawaii. Now, what city or monopolis you were part of in Hawaii?
I was born and raised in Hauula, Hawaii, which is on the North Shore on Oahu. So, the main island where Honolulu's at. So
Yeah.
it's real cool, man. I'm very blessed to grow up there. It's a very, very special place to be born and raised.
That's very exciting. I've only been to Hawaii once, and it was Maui. And honestly, I was like, no, every time they were like, no, you need to go see the locals. So I'm going to do that one day. So give me a local dish that you would advertise in Hawaii.
Man, where do we start? I'm a big boy, so I love to eat. One of the main breakfast staples is a loco moco. It's translated in Spanish to crazy booger. I don't know how in the world it got that name, but what it is it's a bed of white steamed rice, and you have 3/4 pound hamburger patties with 2 or 3 over easy eggs with gravy all over it.
Oh, man.
And that's how I got big and healthy.
Sounds like a full meal. When they say
Yes,
full
sir.
meal, that sounds like a definitely of a full meal they talk about. So you came over to, I guess, the stateside in 2007?
Yes, 2007. So I was kind of a knucklehead growing up, and my mom and dad just said, hey, it'd be a good idea to try something new and pursue educational opportunities in the States. And at that time, I had a background in auto mechanics and diesel, so I went to Universal Technical Institute in Avondale, and that's what my associate's degree is in, is diesel industrial technology. So it's a pretty interesting turn of events for my life's adventure.
So, I mean, you know what? The fact that you even got over here and you started to establish this career and auto mechanics, which is very important. We'll talk about you actually teaching, auto mechanics in school in a second. So, obviously, it's a basketball podcast. So, let me ask you a question. When did you actually start getting involved with some of the local, kids and start getting part of being part of basketball in general in the area?
Well, back in 2008 and 9, one of my educational advisors, we had a volunteer opportunity at the Boys and Girls Club, and it was awesome to go and help their youth program there with youth sports. And I had a little bit of coaching experience. I helped coach a few club teams in Hawaii after I graduated high school, and so I was like, I got that bug in me. I'm like, well, I got to get back into it. I mean, it's not just a bug, it's a curse.
You love the game. So what are name some of the stops you had recently in the area? Those of you who are part of this area, you would know some of the areas. So,
well, I started when I moved down here. I bought my first house back in 2011, out in Santan Valley. I still reside there, and I started helping out at the local YMCA, doing the youth stuff over there, and eventually was able to start a little club program. Eventually, my kid's mother, my wife at the time, said, hey, you should look into doing it at the high school level, because I think you're pretty intense to do the little ones. And I ended up getting my first stint as an assistant and JV coach at Santa Cruz High School in Eloy. Did 2 years over there, and then I had a change of events with my career, and I wanted to get an education. And Florence, being closer to where I live, offered me an opportunity there as an assistant and freshman and JV coach. And then I ended up down here in Casa Grande as a JV. So technically I started at a really small school at a 2A and kind of worked my way up. And you know, here at Casa Grande as a teacher, came full-fledged from being a teacher's assistant to becoming a teacher. And did a couple of years here as a JV coach, and I still very active with the Central Arizona Classic tournament. They happen every year after between Christmas and New Year's. It's a really great tournament down here in Casa Grande, the biggest in the county. And then you know, then I had my most recent stop at Sequoia Pathway as a varsity coach, head coach.
So we go back up. So, you know, I was, you know, you guys already know I coached 1 year here in Arizona, and Coach invited me to be a part of one of your tournaments, right? And I really appreciate that. Because it wasn't just, it was a it was a lot of schools, but it worked out perfectly. You had like a good situation for the coaches to be able to eat some of the native food that some of the stuff he talks about from Hawaii and stuff. I really appreciate that opportunity as well. So, you know, I did look up recently, you know, you have a situation where you basically promote youth education in sports. So when did you start affiliating yourself to be able to reach out to some of these locals? Because you have a good following, and some kids did follow you over at the school you were just at. So, you know, give us some of the details of how you incorporate some of the youth programs, AU, club ball, however how you want to effectuate that.
Well, I think the reason I have a strong following is my enthusiasm. You know, some of my former players and their parents told me that I have this fire that just burns and it just lights everybody up, and it's just contagious. And you know, I guess I've been told I'm a player's coach. And, you know, I really appreciate that. You know, everything I do is for the kids. You know, one of my foundations is what my dad taught me. Anything you do in this life, you have to do it with aloha or with love. You know, aloha and from where I'm from, it means love. So,
right, okay. Doesn't mean hello.
It means hello and goodbye, you know, as well. You know, it's very, you know, it's very, like, it's spread out, you know, there's a lot of different meanings, but yeah, it's, you know, aloha is, and when talking about that is doing it with love. And when you do it with love, you get a better result. And everything I did with love and putting all my effort and heart into it, you know, had really great positive results.
And I see some of that. Now, you did touch on the fact that you are a teacher as well. So how does, you know, one coach, I mean, I did substitution for a little bit. Didn't work out for me.
It's tough.
Right. So how do you balance, like, being a teacher and a coach all in the same? Like, because you never get away from children, right? You're there, you know, from 6 in the morning till 9, 10 o'clock. Some, especially out here in Arizona, where the road trips can be till 12 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Right. So how do you process that being a teacher and a coach? Like, how do you balance? What's your balance?
Well, I'm very blessed. You know, I'm a very simple guy. I love cars. I love automobiles. I love basketball. You know, Casa Grande is just an amazing opportunity. I'm just so blessed. I'm able to get paid on what I love to do.
Right.
Working with kids, teaching them the ropes about automobiles, and being able to coach. So you know, for me, that's just a balance, because if I get tired of one thing, I have the other. It's just all right there, so accessible to me.
And I've seen that. You're a very warming, you know, coach. I've seen your passion. Like I said, I seen you on the bench with the coach last year when you was assistant. You know, I didn't get to catch you this past season, you know, because of my business and stuff like that. But I definitely going to see you at your next stint, which is going to happen soon. You know, and with your relationship with the community, I know anyone's going to follow you, parents. Like, I just seen you. I seen you in action. I seen the vibration that you have as a coach. And not even that, just as a people person, the fact that you can reach out and like, hey, I know this coach, I know this. So you're well connected. And that means that you, like you said, you lead with love. You communicate with love. You just love people, right?
Absolutely.
That's one of the biggest things people probably should understand, that why coaches do it at this level, right? Because obviously it's not for certain gain. It's really because you love. And like I said, there's a quote I used recently, my last season, was basically saying, like, a coach in one basketball season has the opportunity to make a difference in 25 kids' lives than someone else will take 30 years to do, right? You can do that in one season, right? So that's why
Absolutely, I
you
agree.
value that situation. I mean, outside of that, so I had to ask you you see some of my videos. So what's some of your offense and defensive skills that you utilize?
Jeez,
It's
oh,
a-
man,
it's a
you want
coach's
to talking X's and
podcast.
O's. Well, a lot of my, some of my colleagues, and they just, the one thing they tell me, in general, preparing to compete against me, is I've been told that playing against George Courtney and his team is like preparing for battle with Genghis Khan and his Mongol army.
I believe
And I
that.
was just like, for me, I was like, wow, like, that really, having one of my colleagues, tell me that, it just like, I'm like, man, I'm just a simple guy that loves the game, and I'm always learning and growing. I may not be the most highly experienced or most knowledgeable, but, it's my grit and my work ethic and passion is what gets me to be successful at, at coaching. Defensively, I love to press. I love defense. I'm a defensive-minded coach. We got to be able to get stops, and my biggest philosophy with defense is making the opponent uncomfortable, getting them out of their offensive rhythm, putting pressure and trapping defense to create offensive opportunity. If we can do that every game, we'll win a lot of games.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I seen it. I seen it firsthand. It would be like with your situation, you don't even know you're out of the game because you guys are just at it right away, right? But you're also teaching skill, position
Absolutely.
skills, but you're not limiting players to where they can be. You're exercising the feeling in that. I noticed that as well. I mean, like whatever what the coaches said that is true. I believe it. Because you were able to do it, like when we played against you, and you wasn't even calling, we just wasn't standing up, but I can tell that your imprint was right there. I could tell that your imprint was on the system, right? So I know what you did this past year without even going to any of your games. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate
and
that. Yeah.
That just very exciting basketball,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yeah.
You're still teaching so some of the press looks, diamond 1-2-2. Like, what are some of the looks you go for?
Well, I've been working on a system. It actually started when I was at Santa Cruz. I was under Ron Platerio. He gave me my first start. We're still really good friends. I consider him a mentor to me. He's a real good basketball mind. He's originally from Chinle, Arizona, up north. He's a Navajo. So he really, taught me the game of the res ball, the running gun that they like to run up here in the northern part of the state. And I fell in love with that game. And, he really loves to run the diamond press. What I ended up doing was doing a lot of film breakdown with Shaka Smart when he was at VCU. And I ended up creating a system off of that, and I broke it down for the kids so they could understand their responsibilities and positioning.
Rotational.
And, if you coach against me, you're going to see the diamond full court time to time. But I run a lot of little half-court traps here and there. Three-quarter court, I love that Villanova 1-2-2. I'll do it off the tip. I don't care.
So you say you're after it.
Yeah, I will press you and trap you off the tip sometimes and lose that. I actually coached against where I got the 1-2-2 three-quarter court was I played against a team it was Nogales and then another team from Mexico. And my little club team I had was a little 7th grade team. We got tore up by that little,
taught them something,
the little half-court trap and three-quarter court trap. So I'm like, I watched the film, I broke it down. I'm like, I'm using this. I love this, and we did it the first time we started really running that defensive system was when I went to Florence. After I took the time to write it up and break it down. And my freshman team at Florence from 2015-16 season, we went 12-6 with, a bunch of athletes. I only had one or two
high school
really-
experience, right? Freshman kids, they, because I know it's a little bit different in certain, freshman, JV, varsity, and stuff like that. So that's a good look, coach. 100%.
No, absolutely. being with that school, you know, they were a 3A school. It's hard to get freshman games at the 3A level because not very many 3A programs have a freshman team.
You might not get a JV team someplace.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy with numbers, and you know, I'm so blessed. I still talk to those kids today. You know, the best player on that team, his name was Nick Tucker, graduated from Florence High School last school year. He's playing JUCO out in San Diego, and you know, I ran into his dad, and his dad told me, man, my son was, you know, we're blessed to have, you know, you're his coach his freshman, sophomore year. And I said, no, I was just blessed to have the opportunity. He goes, well, one thing that I really loved was that fire. He said, that fire you ignited in my son's heart. He loved basketball. He fell in love with the game from playing with you for, you know, those 2 years. And he was able to take it upon himself to get in the gym and improve. And, you know, it looks like he's going to have a bright future. You know, one of the best kids I coached. And I was just so grateful for the opportunity to coach him. He's a good kid, and we still keep in contact. And, you know, he's like, Coach, you weren't joking about college. It's a business. It's so tough. I go, yeah, the lower level, enjoy it. It's fun and passion, man. Once you get out of it's tough. It's a business, and you know that. You're a college coach, so if you don't produce, bye. You know.
Greyhound ticket. No, let me stop. But yeah, hey, you know, seriously, you're right. Preparing these youth, and that was some of the things that I wish some of the high school coaches would do is prepare. Like, yeah, winning is good, but it's the measure of your success of your program is how good your kids do at the next level when they leave you.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, to get the college degree, or even to get drafted, or go overseas, or play in the G League. These are some of the movements. That's progression, right? Like, yeah, you don't want your kid bragging about their state championship that they got, but then they start working, you know, at the local moco. Because the whole point, this is a vision, this is a tool, right? This is a tool to get you into college, get some of that money off, because we know student loans are crazy.
Well, yes, sir.
So,
you don't have to
it's an
go into that
opportunity
there.
to tell these kids to lose this tool. So I encourage coaches to be like Coach, like you say, like your own, like
Appreciate
know.
that.
And then trust me, Coach, you're going to get more. The more kids you affect, you know, they're going to be called. I still get calls. Right, I still get calls. Hey, Coach Woods, how you doing, Coach? Da, da, da. And that it lightens up your day.
Oh yes, sir. You know,
Right,
you know, one of my kids graduated. He ended up moving to Washington State, and he's like a son to me. I mean, I was in tears as graduating. He was just an at-risk kid. You know, just tough family situation. But you know, I coached him his first 2 years. You know, he's like a son to me. He's always welcome over my house. I told him that, you know, I'm like, you get in a bad, you know, pinch, I'm a phone call away. I'll send you a ticket, one-way ticket, and we'll figure it out when you get here, when you come home. But, you know, he still calls me at least twice a week to check in with me, and I'm making sure he's doing well. You know, ultimately, all my players are not going to go to the next level. That's the reality of it. But I can try to do my best to prepare them for life, to make better men, husbands, fathers, you know. That's the goal.
Those are the skill sets that we teach, and a lot of parents may not necessarily understand it. They're like, "Oh, my kid is not this, that." But honestly, truthfully, you're talking to men who sacrifice their life because they want to make a difference in someone else's life. It's not about them at all. It's literally like, okay, look, I want to coach basketball. It's just like a parent, right? A parent, you want your kids to be more successful than you, right? So you want your players to be more successful as you as a coach,
Absolutely.
right?
I
If it's
agree.
not in the class, if it's in the classroom and it's on the court, that's a double bonus, right? But the goal is to get these kids graduated, because we all know. I always say this to people. You know, I don't think if it wasn't for basketball, I probably wouldn't have went to college, right? Basketball gave me a scholarship to go to college, right? Or I would have went later on in life, and you know, would have been catching up, right? But you know, and it's provided for me. But I know, especially being from the inner city, that was my tool. Right, that was my tool, and I utilized it in the same situation. And it's good to see coaches like you that make sure kids are doing something like that. Something lighthearted. You know, I haven't asked you this ever. I haven't asked you who's your favorite NBA team. I just noticed that.
Man, that's tough, man. Really, I like to follow players. So like,
Okay.
you know, back in the 90s, if you asked me then growing up, my team was, I love the Orlando Magic. You know, when they had Shaq, Penny, Nick Anderson. I love the Magic. I love the colors too, the blue and the black and silver.
Oh, yeah.
I also like the Seattle Supersonics with Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, you know. I even like the Charlotte Hornets, man. I mean, Larry Johnson, that was my guy, man. I love watching him play.
So that mid '90s was your
That
thing.
was when I really was into it. Now now I've been in Arizona for 12, almost 13 years, so I got to go with the Suns. Actually, I'm more of a Suns fan now because one of my really good friends, my best friends, was DeAndre Ayton's coach in high school.
Oh, okay.
At Hillcrest Prep. So
Okay.
actually, my kids and I, we got to meet him, after a game, and it was just. I'm more of a Suns fan now. I mean, do or die,
Yeah, I seen him when I was at the game last weekend. I seen him working out with one of the position coaches and stuff. I seen him and stuff, so that's
So
good.
we love
Hillcrest,
DeAndre.
yeah. That's good. That's why the prep school's here, right? Would you ever get into prep ball?
You know what? I would. I think that's a great opportunity to I don't know, not as necessarily as a head, but I think that would be a great learning experience for me to see what they do. I got a few connections,
Right, yeah.
friends that are in that, and at that level, which is it's a very high level. Those kids are. I mean, I watched some of those teams beat up on JUCO teams.
Yeah.
Good JUCO teams
I've seen
too,
some recently too. I forgot what school it was, but I was like, because honestly, where I'm from in Ohio, there's really no prep schools, right? And if they are, not like kids who decided not to go to college to stay at the prep level, right? But this thing about it, people are misconstrued that football school's been around forever.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And people would it's probably baby basketball just catching on, but prep schools have been around forever, right? So, and I think we actually scheduled, when I was at the college, at the JUCO college I was at, we scheduled a prep school too, and played against them as well. It gives kids an extra situation with that. Like you said, so Suns are your team now. What about college? You still like Villanova? Or you just like the scheme? I'm sorry.
I like their scheme. College,
Good coach.
man, University of Hawaii all the way, man. I mean, I love them, man. ASU, Sun Devils and University of Hawaii, those are my two teams. I follow both for football, basketball, and then for volleyball, of course, University of Hawaii, man. I love their teams. Love
men's
watching them
teams?
play.
Yeah.
Men's and women's
Men's
volleyball.
and women's,
Exciting
yeah.
to watch.
That's good. Now, you just recently brought. Do you have a Hawaiian high school come over here for the tournament?
Yeah, so my buddy Robbie Shlove, he's the head coach at a Mid-Pacific Institute out in Honolulu. I know him from, we used to play club ball and school ball against each other. It's just kind of funny how, you go full circle. For me, a lot of the guys that I kept in touch with were my club teammates or guys that we actually played against each other, didn't like each other.
Yeah,
But
I
at
see
the
what
end
you're
of the day, we built that respect because we were both, we were there grinding, we pushing them to make each other better. So, we're able to still build that respect and relationship. And Robbie came up, and this coming season, depending where I'm at, I got 3 other Hawaii teams wanting to make the trip. They Robbie went back and was just, explaining how great the hospitality was here. We took care of them. I set them up with the, here at Casa Grande, we have a big Native American population. So we have a Native American liaison, and I was able to set up an appointment with them to have a cultural exchange there at Sackatoon. So it was really a great deal. It was pretty awesome. The tribe over here in Sackatoon and Gila River, they took care of the team from Hawaii. They fed them and had all the cultural exchange and activities. So it was awesome. Really was. It was more, and that's how he was able to sell it to his principal. He says, we're not just coming to play basketball. They actually came here to, a lot of those kids haven't really been off the rock. So they're able to come here, not just participate in a tournament, learn about a different culture, Native American culture, as well as they toured ASU and GCU while they were here. So some
So
of
they
the
made
kids
a trip out of it. That's really
they're
good.
looking at, hey, enrolling here, even if it's not playing basketball, to
get
come
on
here
with
for
it.
school for educational
See,
opportunity.
that's why I said, Coach, like, you are a person who you bring, right? I could tell if it's in your native tongue. I could tell this in the way you were raised. I could tell everything about it. Like, if it all comes around, you're about relationships, right? It's in coaching, whether it's players, all that stuff. So, like I said, you just brought people all the way back from Hawaii, a high school team. That means that the boosters got to pay for them to get all that stuff. Like you
It
made
ain't
it.
cheap. I mean,
Yeah,
we're talking like $800-900 round trip.
Yeah.
You got at least they brought in 14 kids, 3 coaches, and the athletic trainer. So it was definitely a trip that they had to raise money for. But they were telling me, man, it was affordable for them to visit here opposed to going to California for a tournament. So they were able to, I guess they got an Airbnb in town, and
Yeah, oh, that was
they
smart.
just, they said that it was great to keep the kids, busy, and he made a great trip itinerary. So, my buddy Robbie and his staff, they were very organized. It was really nice to catch up with them because I haven't seen him since, man, back in playing days. We graduated high school in 2004, so it's been a while.
That's a while. So, like Coach said, so any coaches, and I would say the whole Arizona area want to get into the situation where Coach, definitely look them up. Make sure you. What's your Twitter handle, Coach?
At Coach GC3.
GC3. Like look up Coach. If coaches want to reach out, maybe have some ideas how to host a tournament, because a lot of people don't know how to host a tournament.
Yeah, I'm willing to help. Again, I know my buddy Daryl Jones, in Tucson, he's picking my brain on how to get things going for his program. So he's going to launch.
Shout out to Coach Jones, his videos on here as well. But go ahead.
So Daryl, we talk. He's another mentor and friend of mine. We talk often. I pick his brain on a lot of things. He's very helpful. Another guy I'm real close to is Scott Stansberry. He's a Mesa High head coach. He's really great. He's a great mentor, and I know I haven't really talked to him a whole lot this season, but Kirk Foskey, he's used to be at Mountain Point. Now he's at Phoenix Prep.
Yeah, I met him this past May. I met him. Yeah, I did meet him.
Good guy. Like I said, those guys just been really great mentors to me, and helping me grow as a coach. So I can get to to their level,
That's good. It's love, Coach. Well, that's not a question. You're gonna get there. I mean, you in my eyes, looking at your resume, you're there, right? You're there. You've had a few stints, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's enough to you just gotta get somewhere where you feel comfortable and the kids feel comfortable, you feel comfortable, everybody's on the same page, and I'm pretty much the powerhouse is definitely coming your way, without question, Coach. I mean, I see it.
Appreciate
I
that.
see it. That's why I say, Coach, you're well connected, and you're a people's coach. I wouldn't even say a player's coach. You're a people's coach.
Appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, truthfully, because you had the effect on adults too. So definitely, I'm excited to see your next role. What's it looking like for your next 5 years, Coach? Where you want to be at?
Well, I'm looking for a landing spot next season. Preferably to be a head coach, next season somewhere. But if not, being an assistant and being under someone who's gonna push me to be better and to grow. And my goal, ultimately, probably 7 years out, is to be a college assistant. If sooner, hey, that's
Yeah, we're gonna make
icing on
it
the
sooner.
cake.
We're gonna make it sooner.
That'd be awesome. I guess I love basketball. I love being around it. Basketball has provided me a lot of opportunity, just like yourself. With a great career path, countless connections that are inseparable, and great memories, and ultimately just all the love, feeling all the love from everybody. So it's a great feeling.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the opportunity to bring you onto the podcast.
No, I appreciate you taking the time, man.
I'm definitely excited. I'm excited to see the future
like
for
I
you
said.
and everything you need, whatever you need from me. Matter of fact, I probably need you more just on the communication thing. But honestly, Coach, I'm excited. Your next spot is it's going to be your best spot, and then it's going to be a better spot after that. Honestly, truthfully, and not even just on where you're going to go. It's just the fact that you know how to affect the kids in a correct way, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's exciting. I'm excited to see your ball. I'm excited to see you go up and down the court. I'm excited to see some of the schemes you teach the kids and also help develop them getting to the next level.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the biggest thing. And also teaching them how to fix cars, because honestly, I didn't learn until I was like 22. So that's exciting as well. But hey, guys, that's enough with Coach. I appreciate the opportunity with him. You guys tune in City Coaches Podcast. pretty soon. This will be uploaded soon. Meanwhile, while you're here, subscribe.
Just mark my shit right here.